And welcome to the Sportscast, February 12th, 2019. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and share in all our channels. If you're on YouTube and iTunes, please leave a rating and review. Actually, on iTunes, you can leave a rating and review, not on YouTube. It will help us out tremendously. And if you have any more information, visit us at thesportscast.net. Again, thesportscast.net, an official, full-run website. The Sportscast, you can see all the podcasts, YouTube, all the information, all the news, and guest articles. Antonio Brown just tweeted, "Thank you, Steeler Nation, for a big 9 years. Time to move on and forward. Hashtag new demands." To join us to talk to us about this tweet, Ryan Christa, welcome to the Sportscast.
Thank you, Santiago. Obviously, any time, there's always a lot going on in the world of sports, and glad to be talking about it for a few minutes.
Let's get started with Antonio Brown. This whole Steeler debacle has been going on for the past couple months, probably towards the end of the season. Now, do you think this is it for him?
Oh, yeah. I think he's been at odds with them, and almost a certain conclusion that a separation between the two parties is going to happen. But this is his official asking for a trade in the most Antonio Brown way, and it's, saying goodbye in a humongous, overblown tweet.
Do you think, what is the best way for the Steelers to approach this? Try to keep him, trade him, release him? What is the best scenario for the Steelers?
To trade him because he's still, years left on his contract, and you want to get something for him, and not just let him walk the door by releasing him. I don't know what they'll get for him, and obviously it's he wants out and he doesn't want to be there, so other teams have more leverage over the Steelers. So they may get a first round, probably looking towards, I would say, around a second round pick for him.
Yeah, it's something that the situation with Bell and with Antonio Brown has been a big issue for the Steelers. They did not have a good season. What's going to happen with the team? Do you think Bell will stay?
No, I don't think so either. I think they got, maybe they got one headache and that they can maybe try to reconcile things with Bell, but, Bell's a free agent, so I doubt they're going to go. They've had many opportunities to sign him in. So, Brown they still have under contract, so, that's who they're probably more likely to keep than Bell, but most likely I think you're going to see both of them in different uniforms next year.
If Brown leaves, is now the future of the wide receiver, the first option, will now be Juju?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. He's ready to step up. And, they got a great offensive line. James Conner is a good running back. I think they'll be back in the playoffs next year.
What do you think about the Steelers? Do you think they should start from scratch? I know Roethlisberger is reaching towards the end of his career. Obviously, do you think there'll be a big revamp coming up, or do you think they're going to stick with Tomlin and then stick with Roethlisberger as long as they can?
I think if they would have moved on, they would have done it by now with Tomlin. So, he's going to be back. I'm saying this. Steelers have had 3 coaches in the last 30-plus years, the stability of this franchise. They don't make, quick decisions. They understand the ups and downs of, professional sports. Do I think they need a fresh, break? Yeah. I think it's becoming a little stale in that organization. They got tons of talent, on offense and defense. You watch them play, and at times they look like world beaters, and they really whipped, the Patriots at the end of the year, and then the next week they lay an egg. It's just that up and down is kind of what you gotta, it makes you believe that you just need maybe a new voice in that locker room.
Yeah, something that the Steelers are a very serious organization, huge fan base, probably one of the biggest in the NFL, and we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Steelers Nation is huge.
Yeah. Not as big as Dallas, though.
No, they both, when you watch them play road games, those teams tend to dominate the stadium still, even when they're on the road. That's for sure.
Well, Steeler fans, don't worry about it. I think you got Juju. Juju's a very good player. Antonio, we don't know what happened exactly, but the future is bright, and we'll see what happens during the offseason, the NFL draft coming up in April. In other news, the Houston Texans released wide receiver Demaryius Thomas on Tuesday, today. Thomas is 31. He suffered a season-ending torn Achilles in December. He's due a non-guaranteed $14 million salary in 2019. What are your thoughts about that release?
It was an easy decision for the Texans. They brought him in halfway through the year. Thought, he could, be their second receiver, start off good, and then, tears his Achilles, and they're not going to keep a guy who may or may not play this year, especially with that, roster bonus. So, he knew as soon as he tore his Achilles that he was, going to have to find a new team next year, and he will, and I think he's still got a little bit of tread left in those tires. Maybe, obviously not as a focal point, but as a second, third, or fourth receiver, you could definitely help out a team.
Kareem Hunt got signed by the Cleveland Browns yesterday. Kareem Hunt obviously had an issue this past couple months. He altercated a woman, and it's awaiting for NFL's punishment. Obviously, people were surprised Browns signed him, even though the Browns have Chubbs. What are your thoughts about what are your thoughts about this move?
It's unique because there's still so much uncertainty about Kareem Hunt's availability, and there's a very real possibility this guy's going to be suspended for the whole year, and you're taking an necessary PR hit. The Browns are, I know their GM John Dorsey's the one who drafted Kareem Hunt when he was in Kansas City, but it's just kind of a head scratcher, they got talent at running back. Believe me, I understand, how good Kareem Hunt was, and how much the Chiefs kind of took a one step back for a couple weeks trying to redo their offense once Kareem Hunt left. So I do understand that, and I understand what he can bring to the team, but at the same time, why take that risk?
Now that Kareem Hunt has signed a 1-year contract with the Browns, Hunt again will be placed on the commissioner's exempt list. While he's on that list, Hunt cannot practice or be with the team. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has this to say about the case during the Super Bowl week. He said, Kareem Hunt, I think everyone knows that he's under investigation. He is a free agent. If he's signed by a club, the clubs understand that he will go on the commissioner's exempt list at that point in time until the discipline process has concluded. Whether there is a discipline or not discipline, when we finish the investigation and make a determination, there has been a tremendous amount of progress in that investigation. How long do you think he'll get suspended for?
I would say at least a half a year, probably looking at a whole year. And I think if you see some sort of suspension at lack, I think the Browns would just release him, and it's just a headache. Personally, I think that's what's going to happen, but we'll see.
Do you think that will affect Chubb's situation, or think Chubb's is pretty much safe for now?
Oh yeah, Chubbs will be definitely be the focal point. If they do get Kareem Hunt in the field, it'll be a good 1-2 punch for sure, along with Baker Mayfield.
It should be an interesting match situation. Do you think the Browns will be contenders next year for playoffs?
Oh, absolutely, Santiago. I told you this time last year we've won 5 games, and they definitely outdid my expectations and more. They looked like a complete team. I guess, what you have to look at now is Freddie Kitchens, the new head coach, going to be able to have the same success, as the head coach that Greg Williams had, and still be able to run the offense.
Something that we have to look at for the situation in Cleveland. Cleveland's looking good. In Denver Broncos news, an article by Mile High Sports says if the Broncos were going to pursue a quarterback in the offseason, these are the top three: Nick Foles, Terry Bridgewater, and Trevor Siemian. Which one of those do you like the best?
I hope they don't bring Trevor Siemian back. We've already done that. I mean, you're not going to get much different than you would out of Case Keenum. You know, Case was serviceable last year, not great. Definitely not great. Good at best. Very marginal. But, you know, you got him under contract. He's got a huge, with a huge amount of money this year. I just assume they're going to be drafting a quarterback or, looking for the future in that way.
Something that right now the Broncos have Case Keenum. Obviously, like what I've heard, he'll be a short fix for the Broncos for now. I guess, the upcoming draft, there's only two good quarterbacks, Haskins and Murray, which I think Broncos are not predicted to get neither of them. So they might have to wait next year, till they get something, have more options. But, I mean, do you like Case Keenum for now?
Oh, yeah. It's kind of he gives you a chance to win. He's not going to go and win you the game, but, when Case is at his best, he's not going to lose you the game. We were extremely young last year. Injuries all over the place, so many rookies on the field offensively. Defense played the best they can. It was a tough situation, but, Case does have that stability and that, the professionalism in the locker room. I just think he'd be a great mentor for a year if we can draft a quarterback, a Locke or Daniel Jones, late first, you can draft somebody at 10 and come back in the first round and get one of these quarterbacks later on.
The University of Florida finished 9th in the recruiting ranks. How did you think they did this past couple months?
It was tremendous, Santiago, tremendous. You got to understand, you got Alabama, Georgia, those teams, they just stockpile 5 stars. What Dan Mullen was great at Mississippi is taking an average player and making him good. Now he's getting good players, higher rated players at Florida, and the hope is that he turns them into being great. Give us another year of this talent depth. We go off. Our talent was not good under Jim McElwain. We won games because the rest of the talent in the SEC East was bad. But we got a ways to catch up to Georgia, and it showed on the field this year. So it might not be this year, but I think next year, we are going to contend for the SEC East.
You think you guys have enough to beat Georgia?
Not this year, next year.
I know.
2020. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This past weekend.
Especially if they lose, all expectations that Fromm will be a, high-rated quarterback going into the draft next year. So, and we'll have, some experience in that position.
This past weekend, the Alliance of American Football kicked off this past weekend, where you see a mix of former NFL players or also some college players that you remember that didn't make the NFL, or they went but didn't last too long, and now they joined this league. How was the reception? What you think about the first weekend?
It got good ratings. Did I watch the whole game? No, but I watched a lot of, pretty much a little bit of every game. Good quality football. There's a college football, no. There's the NFL football, no. It's a little bit of both. Crowds were decent, no sellouts by any stretch, but good atmosphere, and and I like to see if they, this is, you're going to get a lot of eyeballs the first week. You see how many people come to the stadium next week, watch it on TV, what kind of atmosphere do you have? That's really going to tell you if this league is going to, make it to next year.
Yeah, usually, you just got to, you got to see how week 4 does. The league will last from February to April. The playoffs will be in April, and the championship will be at the end of April. Few of the top names, for example, the Arizona Hotshots have Coach Rick Nilsell, quarterback Trevor Knight. Atlanta Legends have Kevin Coyle. They have quarterback Aaron Murray, quarterback Matt Sims, and wide receiver Stephen Hill. They say the biggest name was Chris Hackenberg. I think was the biggest name. People were like
Christian Hackenberg.
Christian Hackenberg. People were really buzzing about.
Here. Well, he was a big name in college. He kind of fizzled out in the NFL pretty quickly. I say, you got your Trent Richardson from Alabama, who is highly rated running back, who never really panned out in the NFL. I definitely, talent-wise, watching teams play, I definitely think the Arizona Hotshots are head over heels, I think, better than anybody. I think they're well put together. But you got to understand, Rick Neuheisel was an experienced coach. Joel Savage was the GM of the Browns and is also the head of the Reese's Senior Bowl, so he got a first-hand knowledge of a lot of these players when they're in college. So I definitely think they're a little better than most teams.
What do you think it will take for them to stay competitive with the NFL?
Oh, you're not going to be competitive with the NFL, but you got to piggyback of people's, desire to watch football. America, we love football. And you have to see if this first week was more people just
interested,
sad that football season's over and they just want to watch it, or do people generally like it and will make time in their weekends to sit down and watch it. And during the fall, we sit down and we make sure we watch our favorite teams. I don't think what you're going to lack is you're not going to see the average people aren't going to have their favorite team, and they're not going to say, "Oh, I'm going to watch the Memphis Express game at a certain time. I got to be home." But instead, you're just going to sit down. Oh, it's Sunday night and there's nothing on TV. Let me see if the Alliance is on.
The AAF was inspired by filmmaker Charlie Ebersol. And in late 2006, he made a documentary called "This Was the XFL" for ESPN Films 30 for 30 series. Upon researching and examining the history of the XFL, he came to the conclusion that the concept was viable, but that the finished product was both poorly executed and, from an on-field standpoint, bad football. He began developing the AAF in December 2017, about the same time that word came out about XFL co-founder Vince McMahon possibly reviving the old XFL brand. The AAF was announced on March 20th, 2018, and he said he saw focus on creating a solid football product in the hopes that it will attract fans. This league has a lot of potential, but once the XFL comes into play next year, do you think you think the AAF will be overshadowed by the XFL?
It is. You're going to see whatever football product is the best is going to last.
That's the question, yeah.
It's hard to tell right now. Both teams aren't going to last. Both leagues aren't going to last. One team, they may merge into one strong force, but you're not going to see both. There's not enough, I don't think, desire in the offseason to watch, but I think there's enough people who do desire to watch football more year-round. Because basically what you're doing is you're running a league during the driest of the NFL times. Once you get to April, you got the draft coming up, and then, soon after that, training camp starts. So, the NFL kicks up, and they know they can't compete with that or along with college football. So the cities they chose are very college football friendly cities, so you're appealing to a lot of people who may not watch a lot of NFL, but they do remember their favorite college stars.
And they're also, for the the AAF, they're only placed in cities that are non-NFL teams except for Atlanta and Phoenix. So, they're doing this smartly.
Yeah, it was definitely well thought of. They're in certain places for a reason. First week was a success, but time will tell. As long as the football stays good, I think people will watch.
We'll see what happens. First week just happened. I think, we'll see how things roll out. Really excited about the league. It's aired on CBS.
Let me
Go ahead.
Let me ask you this: did you watch any Santiago?
I did. I did watch the Memphis and Birmingham game, and I thought it was really good. The fan base in Birmingham was pretty loud. I really think there's a lot of potential to it. It's interesting. There's no kickoff, and there's no kick extra point. So it's kind of like the kickers only have only could do only field goals.
Yep, that's for sure. They're different. I think they have a lot of safety rules in mind. Rules that whether this league stays or not, I think it was ahead of its time in safety rules.
Yeah,
I think you'll see major college football and the NFL adapting some, if not all, these rules, and then that means next 2 to 3 years for sure.
Was this the league?
We got to be able to keep this, keep football going. There's a lot of areas in the country where football is dying. Santiago,
yeah,
the safety.
I heard Northern Virginia, it's not as popular.
There's some areas where the football is never going to die, and there's some areas where parents are more concerned and safety is a bigger issue.
Like California, probably.
Typically a big city northern,
Was this the league that were interested in signing Trevor Lawrence?
I don't think that would be it. No, I don't think they would. That sounds more of an XFL kind of thing.
Yeah, because I heard, one of these two leagues, are not going to do the whole, play for 3 years in the college system, but you come early as maybe after high school.
Yeah, people want to talk about this. Well, there's plus and minuses. Yeah, could Trevor Lawrence right now step on the NFL field? Yes, he would be the number one pick in the heartbeat. But then if you can't make special rules for quarterbacks and not do it for linemen, who need 3 years of having their body mature. Santiago, if an 18-year-old went out there in the NFL playing either side of the line, they would die. Their bodies are not ready for that type. That's what college does. It builds your body up. You get stronger. It's not a punishment. It's for safety.
We'll see what happens. NBA. Nothing going on here.
Big week last week.
The Lakers lost against the Sixers, I think.
Yeah, Sunday. But we had that trade deadline last week. That was pretty big.
That's right. Any surprises? I know that the player from Phoenix went to Philadelphia.
Clippers.
The Clippers, that's right. Yeah, Los Angeles. I was thinking West Coast.
Tobias Harris. What is the lineup for the Sixers, Santiago?
Was that something was that a positive addition? Was that a smart move?
It's smart. They're trying to keep this team all together, and I don't know if they'll be able to keep Jimmy Butler. He's a hard guy to please, but if they can keep Simmons and Embiid and Harris together, and they're building quite a bench. The Sixers are trying to turn themselves into the Warriors of the East,
which they potentially could be. Now, right now they're in fourth behind the Pacers, Raptors, and Bucks. Do you think they're able to climb up higher?
Let's take 1 second out right now, Santiago. We can take the Pacers out for the conversation.
You think so?
So we got the big four. Yeah. See, the Sixers, they start slow. They underachieve, yes. But this team, watching them play Sunday, they were just motivated. So they got to figure out things defensively, yeah. But scoring was really easy. And I know that the Lakers aren't, the greatest defensive team, but they just put them, they're Swiss cheese. Like, they were just, the size and athleticism and the ball movement was great.
Yeah, I think, I really do think that the Sixers have so much potential. So as the Celtics, do you think Kyrie's really hurting the team?
For the first time in a long time, Santiago, people are looking forward to the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Since Michael Jordan left.
It might be that. Basically the Cavaliers have been winning because they had LeBron James and everybody else wasn't very good. Especially last year with this injuries to the Celtics. Right now, you just look at, the Raptors adding Marc Gasol.
How
you know,
about that move?
was it.
Like, I mean, I know Gasol's a little bit old in age, but do you think that helps a little bit, or what does it do for the
You know,
Raptors?
gives them a little toughness, gives them a good veteran, you know, low maintenance, you know. Is he going to change the team dramatically? No, but they're able to keep their core together to get them. So, yeah, it was good.
As of right now, who are your top two teams in the NBA? One from the East and one from the West.
Oh, I would say I only until further notice the Warriors will always be number one in the West. Maybe I'm a prisoner in the moment, but I'm going to say the Sixers, Santiago.
Sixers, because of that trade move.
Yes, yes.
Of course, things could change. Though I don't think there's any free agents out there available, right?
You know, you see a little bit of, you know, buyouts here, but that's pretty much all come and gone. You know, you got veteran players who don't want to play on terrible teams and will go to the teams and say, you know, buy me out. I don't want to be here. And, you know, or, you know, they were traded to, you know, they went from a good team to a bad team and they don't want to be there. So instead of just being unhappy, they usually just buy them out and they end up going, you know, i.e. Wes Matthews went to the, from the Knicks to the, after being traded from Dallas to the Knicks, he ends up getting buyout from the Knicks and goes to the Pacers.
There was one situation where Magic Johnson might get in trouble for tampering with Ben Simmons.
Yeah, it's an odd situation. So Ben Simmons and Magic Johnson are very similar in the sense that they're both, you know, Ben Simmons, like Magic Johnson, is a point guard, large. Both, you know, are bigger than most point guards. Both, you know, not great shooters, and both depending on driving. You know, Ben Simmons has gone on record and saying he wants to talk to people who played similar ways that he did, and Hall of Famers. And well, the Lakers were in Philadelphia this weekend to play. He, you know, I guess approached Magic Johnson to have a conversation. Sixers weren't overly pleased about it, you know, and the NBA they're just gathering information. Not a big deal, Santiago.
Not a big deal. What do you think about Lonzo Ball? Do you think he's going to prepare to leave? You think because you know they're willing to trade him for for Anthony Davis?
Here's the thing with the Lakers. So the Lakers publicly offered 5 of their players to the Pelicans, which is pretty much their core minus LeBron James. So now you've got this interesting situation. You get back to playing basketball, and the Lakers, you got all these players who now don't feel like they're welcome. You know?
Yeah,
so now they gotta.
Not
So
a very smart move by Magic.
Well, you know, it got public, you know, and it was fun drama to cover, not probably fun to be part of.
I totally agree.
You know, was this? It was all PR stunt by Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis wanted to be known that he didn't want to be there long term, and he was probably looking to get out for, you know, just get out of New Orleans during to make a run somewhere else, knowing that when this season's up, he's going to probably go to the Lakers. But he was willing to make, you know, a run somewhere else. You know, he's got actually a year and a half left on that contract, so he would go somewhere for a year and a half. But you know, like I said, I think in my last podcast, unless some deal was amazes the Pelicans, they weren't going to trade him.
Do you think there's still a chance for Anthony to stay there full time? I mean, long term.
No. That ship sailed. They know it. He knows it. I don't think they're mad at Anthony Davis. They just want to get the most for Anthony Davis.
Yeah. It comes down to a business decision.
Yeah, it's business. You know, like it or not, watch it on TV. You think these people are, you know, robots? They're not. They're human beings. They have desires to go to other places. Could have been handled differently, absolutely. So now you got a fan base who's not happy with their star player and probably going to boo him every time he comes out on the court the next 2 months. So
he's part of the punches.
But, he demands to play. So, if I was the Pelicans, I would try to talk Anthony Davis and tell him go home. But if you want to get the most from him in the off season, so what they're looking for, the Pelicans, they're looking for a high draft pick. They want to find a replacement. They don't want
to get nothing out of it.
A Brandon Ingram. They don't want a Lorenzo Ball. They don't. Are they good players? Yeah, they're good players. But they want to find the next Anthony Davis, and they know they're not going to get that in that trade.
Anthony Davis is one of a kind, too.
Yeah. Well, are they going to want the next? I think with Anthony Davis wanting to go to New York, and you're looking at the Knicks having a historically bad season right now. There's a good chance, they get that lottery pick, that first pick, that they're going to, take, they want Zion Williams, because now you can build around Zion Williams.
Which he'll be, he's a player from Duke, right?
Yes. So, you can kind of, start fresh.
Yeah, I think with the Knicks, they'd let go of Porzingis. I was really surprised because I thought Porzingis was the franchise player, but, in the NBA, you become not for long, just like the NFL.
The Knicks just took an ultimate roll the dice. So they basically, like we talked about that trade, they got 3 pieces that they don't plan to keep long term.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Dennis Smith Jr. is a good player. Actually, a player they could have had in the draft, but they bypassed him. But then they got 2 players. Wes Matthews, who they already sent packing, and DeAndre Jordan, who will be a free agent this year. Basically, they were rolling the dice and said, I want to create enough salary cap so we can bring in 2 to 3 all-stars.
Right. Well, Ryan, ready for some game predictions?
Let's do this.
Lakers at the Hawks.
As long as the Lakers want to be there, they should, they'll beat the Hawks.
The Celtics at the 76ers.
Great game. Must see TNT Tuesday night. Kyrie's not playing. I told you how much I love this new Sixers, so let's go Sixers.
San Antonio Spurs at the Memphis Grizz.
Spurs, easy.
Orlando at New Orleans.
As long as Anthony Davis plays enough minutes, they should win that game.
Only if. And finally, Manchester United at PSG. No, sorry.
Ooh,
PSG at Manchester United, sorry.
The best. Let's go PSG today.
Sounds good. PSG wins in Manchester. And finally, random
Let me
question.
ask you this, for soccer. What do you think of Greg Berhalter's start as head coach?
Yeah, so far so good. Those 2 games you got to win, especially, during the beginning of the year. So I think he's off to a good start. Obviously, the true test will be for the Gold Cup, and then obviously the qualifiers.
What do you think? With so many young players, would you rather they're playing the Gold Cup or the Under 20 World Cup?
Ooh, good question.
That's kind of the question we're going to learn here next little bit.
Yeah, that's a good question. I got to think about that, but I think because the Gold Cup has value where you're able. No, value it doesn't have much. I think the World Cup because it brings a little bit more like news buzz. I think. So,
Santiago tonight, Kentucky, LSU, or are you watching the NBA?
I'm gonna watch the NBA. Boston, Philadelphia is too much. It's too big.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
How about you?
A little bit of both,
And
probably a little bit of HGTV to make the missus happy too. So.
And random question: who's your favorite Jones? Indiana Jones, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Tommy Lee Jones, or James Earl Jones?
I'm going to say neither. Jerry Jones is my favorite.
Ooh, Jerry Jones, that's a good one. And another person said John Jones.
John Jones, Rochester legend.
All right. Well, Ryan, how can people reach you, talk to you a little bit about the NBA?
Probably Mad Dog Report 18, Always trying to catch up on the news of the day.
All-Star game is in 2 weeks, right?
It's this weekend, San Diego.
This weekend, my bad. Yes, this weekend, All-Star action. Dwayne Wade's last, and we'll see how LeBron does. Still no dunk contest.
It's always a fun weekend.
Ryan, Christa, thanks for coming on to the Sportscast.
I'll see you there, Santiago. Bye-bye.